The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and you're listening to Sisters Speak on Inspire 105.1 FM, and you're here with me today, Faiza.
Me, Amina.
And me, Lamisa.
And today we're going to be speaking about dealing with loneliness. However, before we do get into that, Amina, please tell our listeners what our show is about.
Our show is a platform for Muslim girls to voice their own opinions on current events and issues, and even form discussions on general topics such as religion, culture, politics, social media, Islamophobia, etc. Please note, all opinions and views are our own, and we respect all other or opposing / similar views and opinions. So again, we are just having a discussion.
Yes, and we will value and respect all views and opinions that come into this discussion as well. So please do join in. And Lamisa, please tell us how they can join in on our discussion.
Yeah, you can join in the discussion by calling the studio number, which is 01582 481822, or you can text or WhatsApp into 07779 481822. We're also live on Facebook, so you can comment under the Facebook live stream if you have anything to say.
Yeah, so Facebook live stream, guys.
You can also see us on the Facebook live stream.
Yes, you can see their beautiful faces.
I mean,
Okay.
not mine.
We try our best.
Moving on. But please do join in our discussion. Today we'll be discussing dealing with loneliness in terms of friendship, which I feel like is very important, especially in today's day and age, you know, especially with mental health being a very sensitive topic as well, and how that can also be a factor towards that. So before we get into that, we do this segment on our show every week called Thought for the Week, and our listeners out there, please do join in as well, because we'd love to know different views and opinions. But it's just maybe telling us something that you've learnt this week that's new that you'd like to share with other people, which might be helpful for them, or just something motivational maybe, or inspirational, or even if it's not so much towards that, but just a thought that you'd like to share. So please do contact us, you know, comment on our Facebook live stream, text or WhatsApp us in as well. So we'll start with Lamisa first. What's your thought for the week?
Okay, my thought for the week is basically my thought for the week is how exams are coming up, and again I've found myself in a situation where I've not necessarily left things to the last minute, but I'm seeing that I could very quickly end up in a position where I've left everything to the last minute. So what I want to say to all the students out there is that if you have time, please just use your time wisely instead of putting things off to the absolute last minute, because we all know we regret it when we get to that position. So work hard when you have the time to be able to do so, because we all know cramming is just not fun at all.
Not the one.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, it's the same thing she said last year, everyone.
Our weekly motivation.
Every single day.
Please guys, it's a reminder for myself.
Well, when will you ever learn?
I mean, we have time.
But she's got this, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah.
And those students out there as well, you got this, come on. Stop, holding back on your revision.
Just stop.
I mean, the weather's depressing as well. It's not like it's sunny outside that it's distracting you.
There are, you're awake for probably 16 hours of the day, and how much of that time do you really spend studying? I think max in the holiday I've spent about 30 minutes a day.
Well, speak for yourself, but
No, I'm saying to those who are like me, you really need to put yourself together at Lamisa Ahmed.
There we go. No, inshallah you got this.
Yeah.
Come on, if we don't push you, then watch what will happen. Anyways, Amina, your thought for the week?
My thought for the week is, I was just thinking, we always forget how much freedom we have and how powerful we actually are. Mm-hmm. If we believe in something, and if we want something to happen, or if we want change, then we can actually do something about it. If you find something is important to you and it's not being no one else sees it as something important, then take it upon yourself to do something about it.
To make that change.
Yeah. I was just inspired by my cousin who's in year 11. This was 2 weeks ago now, I think. But she goes to a school which is where she's one of the only Muslim Asian girls there, and she realised it was after the New Zealand terror attacks happened, and she noticed that no one was really paying much attention to it, and she was really upset by it, and no one seemed to be as upset as she was. So she's naturally a really shy person, and then she went at lunchtime, she was telling me she went to the head teacher's office out of nowhere, and she asked the head teacher can I do an assembly about the terror attacks and just to honour the victims. I was so proud of her.
That's amazing.
She didn't talk to anyone about it.
To do that.
How hard it is to give an assembly
and
in front of
straight
a whole
away
school.
to the head teacher as well.
Yeah, I was so proud of her, and then
Wow.
I helped her with the presentation and stuff and her little speech. But yeah, I was so proud of her, and I was kind of inspired as well, because she saw that as something that was really important, and she noticed something lacking in her school, so she just did something about it, and it's not something she would normally do. And I think if we're I'm older than her, and if I feel something is important to me, then I should do something too. What is holding us back? There's literally nothing holding us back. And they her whole school, they really appreciated it, and they learned a lot from it. So I think we have so much power that we don't realise we have, and we should all use it.
And it's that courage to actually push forward and do that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, bless her. In year 11 as well.
Yeah, so shout out to my cousin.
Mashallah, that's so good.
That's amazing.
Do I have a thought of the week today?
You should have a thought of the week about it. Putting me on the spot.
Mine's going to be revised more, maybe. I'm joking. Not I have
It's on the same. It's on the same.
I think mine is maybe to just take a step back sometimes. I feel like you get too involved or too immersed into life that you don't take a breather, do something out of your daily routine, which I think for me it's actually coming to radio and just sometimes venting to these two lovely ladies here, and Mariam, who unfortunately
and
isn't
the rest
here.
of the community.
And the rest of the community, even though we do receive different feedback, but I think it's going into laughing fit. Stop.
Sorry.
But anyways, I think it's just having that time to just take a break away from your normal routine, do something out of your routine, whether it be take a walk, maybe not in this weather, but take a drive then.
Well, it's quite refreshing,
and go for a walk. Yeah. What's stopping you? You have the power to wear a coat.
It's raining. You have the power to wear a
I
coat.
like walking in the rain more than I do just in generally I feel like the sounds are really calming.
Hey, you're not in a movie.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Be vigilant when you go out on walks, guys.
Very vigilant. Take someone with you, please. But aside from that, just doing something, you need a breather for your mental health and just for your well-being in general. Working every day, fair enough, you have to. It's maybe a daily routine, revising, whether it's, going to school, waking up, whatever it is. Just take, a couple of hours just to have a breather, do something out of your normal routine, because sometimes I feel like it kind of just brings you back to
You can come back with a refreshed mind to whatever you're doing.
and you're a little bit more at peace and kind of refreshed from the everyday
From the
routine,
chaos.
because sometimes it's so repetitive as well, the same thing every single day. You wake up, you have to go to work, come back, you have to do this and this, and it's kind of that constant, like you said, the chaos. And it's just like, you know what, sometimes you just need a break, you need a breather, that's it.
You could even go in your garden. How many of us really go in our garden?
I see the weather and I'm like, I'm staying inside.
But you could, if you want fresh air, you could always just
My neighbour's cat
dip out.
comes in my garden and does his business, so he ruined it for me.
That's
Wow,
rude.
that's a beautiful story right there. But
I don't know why I had to say that on air, but I just
you have the power to go in your front garden.
I like going in my garden, but that cat just ruins my experience.
Well, aside from that, moving on now. I think I thought for the week.
Our neighbour's cat used to do that, but then I don't know what happened. It stopped. I think my parents put
You got a
something in
good telling
there.
off.
Interesting.
You can tell me that during the break.
Moving on. Aside from that.
That makes it sound like we did something dodgy. We didn't. Oh my gosh.
Aside from that. If
The neighbour's
anyone
cat is
else-
still alive.
Right.
Just saying.
Anyways,
So hot topics.
No.
Oh my gosh. I think my
anyone-
parents just told the neighbours that they need to
Right.
allow their cat, so then...
I think Liza wants to move on from the cat
I'm
thing.
sorry, I just don't want anyone to misunderstand.
Just feel like Lamisa just needs a little bit of time out.
I'm sorry.
Moving on. I feel like we should, if anyone else in the community, anyone who's listening as well, please do let us know what you think. If you have a thought for the week,
A
you know,
cat
something you
story,
want to share
maybe.
with us. Not a cat story, please.
Oh, God, we
Any
don't mind.
advice or anything that is refreshing, not just for you, but for anyone else out there as well, because they might benefit from something maybe that you've learnt for yourself.
Of course, a little motivation,
Yeah.
a little inspiration.
Nothing to do with cats, please. Please do let us know. 07779 481822, or you can comment on our Facebook live stream. So please do that. Moving on to the hot topics. Amina, what is today's hot topic?
Our hot topic is about, some of you may have heard, an imam was awarded an OBE, which I think is amazing.
Yes.
This was the imam of the Finsbury Park Mosque who was branded a hero during the Finsbury Park terror attack in June 2017.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to mention this because I think it's really important to have that kind of recognition in our community. Like that's a really, like, that's an amazing award to have, and the fact that it's an imam, I feel like we're being included, you know?
Yeah.
It's just nice to
Aw.
see like a Muslim up there getting like such an amazing award. And also, like, from the pictures, it's kind of a small thing, I don't know, it depends how you see it, but like he wore a thobe when he accepted the award, and I thought it was nice because usually you'd think, oh, to wear a suit or like something that is conventionally smart, but yeah, he still looked smart, and I thought it was a nice bit of representation.
Aw, that's
Yeah.
actually really cute. Nice. Nice to be included. I see what you mean. Any
thoughts?
I think,
I just think it's amazing, to be fair. Like, it's not something that you see every day.
And it's a big thing that he did, like
Yeah.
saving lives, and you know,
I think the
like,
notion of him getting sort of recognised by the establishment, as it were, is the big thing. Like, you know, the fact that people have recognised this person who's part of the minority
yeah,
as doing something great, which he definitely has done, and he should be recognised for. I think that's the amazing thing.
Anything else to add?
I think we've said
What we need to say. Moving on.
Why did you sound like such a gangster at that?
I feel like today's just been constant laughing through the show, and I can't stop laughing because of the two lovely girls that
I'm just
I have
that
in
funny.
the studio today.
We're just great
Hilarious.
company.
Great company, guys, which brings us on to today's topic of, you know, exploring loneliness in terms of friendship. Why did you pick this topic, Amina?
Well, some of you, if you listened in last week, we did
better
a
have.
shopping.
Shopping.
Sorry, guys. We did not go shopping. We did a topic on friendship, and like, we talked about how like friendship is really important to us and why we love our friends, all of that stuff. But then I, like, afterwards, when I was thinking about like what we should do for this week, I was thinking, what about people who may not have friends? Like, I feel like that is part of the same conversation. Like, we need to address that too. Like, what if you don't have friends? What if you find it, like, what if you struggle to make friends? Or even if you do have friends and you feel lonely, like, we talked a lot about what we can get from our friends, like what they give to us, what we give to them. But sometimes we have so many people around us, but we still, like, we might feel alone. So I thought it was,
Or that preference of just wanting to be alone as
yeah,
well.
or even like, what if you don't have friends and you like it that way? So maybe that's why I decided this topic.
Thoughts? First of all, actually, let me do my beautiful questions.
As the host.
What is loneliness? Long pause. No answer.
Let me just get out my dictionary.
All right.
Loneliness.
What does loneliness mean to you?
It means
Act
to
of
be
being
alone. There we go, Lamai. So we can do it 2 in 1.
So no company.
I don't necessarily. I think you can feel alone by even having company around you. I think loneliness is perhaps you feeling like you're on your own. So it's somewhat different. You don't necessarily have to be alone, but you can feel
alone.
Yeah,
feel
sometimes
alone.
you might enjoy your own company, but that's not necessarily being a lonely person.
I think loneliness has negative connotations to it, though, right?
Yeah,
But-
I think it has more negative connotations
Definitely.
than
Because
positive.
you can be happy being lonely, but then you're.
It depends what
Does,
we
does that really
lonely
count
is.
as loneliness?
What about independent?
I think
What does that mean?
Ooh, but that means not being dependent upon anyone. So you can have lots of friends,
Being
etc.,
independent is
etc.,
like
but
being
still be
able to-
independent.
Rely on yourself. You know, like...
But does that tie in with the aspect of loneliness? You don't.
I think to me, loneliness isn't actually being physically alone, but it's feeling
I feel like it's a
lonely
mix, though.
is like when you feel lonely though. I think
I
it's
think that's
like
a sadder emotion.
when you don't have anyone to be with emotionally. Does that make sense? Like you
Or
don't
connect
like
with
say
anyone.
yeah, exactly. Like you might have
Yeah.
you might have friends around, or you might, if you don't have friends, then you might have your family around, but you don't feel like you can talk to them about what you need to talk about.
I think I agree with
Sometimes,
Amina.
Like
It's on an
you're
emotional
not even
level.
there, but you're there.
Yeah.
Inception. Not joking. But do you understand? It's kind of like you just like you don't feel involved. The thought to get involved is kind of like, do I want to? I'd rather just. But some people do it.
Is it
as
really
like
I'd rather just, or do you think some people feel like they can't
people,
get
it's a
involved,
preference,
or
though.
they don't want?
Some people have that preference.
They
but
do.
What
would
is
rather,
the preference?
like-
Is that loneliness? That's like a choice.
maybe it's
Is lonely? But are we defining loneliness as just being when it's not preferential?
I feel like it's down to you. How do you define loneliness?
Yeah, I think it's on an emotional level.
Yeah.
If you don't have anyone emotionally to connect with, and you feel that, and that therefore makes you feel like you have no one, then that's definitely loneliness.
Yeah, because think of it this way. Like, imagine you chose, like, you were, I don't know, like you were somewhere.
I am here.
And like there were a group of people, and you just thought, you know, I can't bother to hang out with them, but I don't even feel bad about it. Would you say to yourself, I feel lonely, but I wouldn't, because I've chosen not to hang out with these people. Do you know what I mean?
Because that's not. Because I feel like when you say I feel lonely, that's when you want people around you, but
you
you're
want
alone.
company. Like you crave
you
company.
crave it. But when you decide to take that choice where I'd actually rather be alone, then you're not lonely, because you've
made that choice. So it's
you're
more
not craving
of,
other people to be around you.
So it's more of like down to your choice and your preference on how you perceive it. Because like how you both said, it actually depends on you. Sometimes you take that decision that you want to be all alone.
Yeah.
Whereas other times you can make that decision of, no, I want people around me, but you feel alone.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Like if all my friends were to go out without telling me, then I'd feel lonely, because I would have wanted to go out with them. But if they'd asked me and I've said no, then that's different. I'm not feeling lonely. More so, I've want to be in my own company.
Okay.
I think there's a difference.
Interesting. Have you guys ever felt, as in taken that choice to want to be alone?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think everyone has, though. I don't think.
As in sometimes you just get enough of everything and you want to be alone.
I think everyone
You've
has
taken
that. Like tolerance level. Like we can't be with everyone all the time, and we can't be alone all the time. I think everyone has the balance there.
Yeah,
Amna?
I would say the same. Like, I think, just personally, I don't always
Want
to be around people. That's not to say I don't want, like,
It's not a negative thing.
Yeah,
that
it's just a
not like you
choice.
don't want to be with certain people. You don't want to
Yeah.
see certain people, but it's just out of choice.
Yeah, like, for example, just to wind down, I would
wanna be
do that
alone.
by myself. Like, I'd
Yeah.
spend time by myself.
Yeah, for example, like when I come from work, sometimes I just want to just go straight to my room and just stay there.
And just chill by yourself.
because it's literally the constant. Because sometimes you're in an atmosphere where you're always constantly surrounded by people.
I have a question.
Go on.
When you're by yourself and you're like, let's say you're chilling, does texting count as talking to someone or being surrounded by people?
Again, I feel like it's down to you.
Because I feel like at certain points when I want to be alone, I can't even be bothered to text
Same.
a person.
Yeah, that's true, because it's kind of
It's a form of communication.
yeah,
right?
and it's draining to
have to think
to
of an
even have a
answer.
conversation. Like, you don't want
This
to.
is the youth of today, everybody.
No,
I
but
don't have my phone with
They
me
are
half the
lazy
time.
enough to not even think of an answer.
But it's like if you want to have a conversation with someone, you want to give them the right, like you want to,
Yeah.
You want to give them the energy back
yeah,
that
you want
they
to give them
you.
your full attention.
and
You don't want to
energy,
be
yeah.
that person who just like takes
Gives
back,
blunt
like, yeah,
replies
okay,
or just
yeah, lol, okay.
Lol.
The youth
Or
of today,
nice.
everybody.
Nice. Oh, that gets on my nerves
Cool.
so much.
Or just an emoji.
Sound.
I feel like I feel like it's down to the person, because some people, although they want, but some people they would want to be alone, but technically they don't want to be alone because they'd still be doing the whole texting, calling, etc. Do you see where I'm coming
See,
from?
when I want to be alone, I really just want to be alone. Like, I don't want.
It's like, don't ever speak to me.
Is it? It's not like that. I'm not gonna
I'm
like lash
joking.
out, but it's more so like I want that time to just
Yeah.
relax, really just chill.
Wind down.
Do you
Fair
think you could ever go on holiday by yourself?
I'd be so
Hypothetically
scared.
speaking.
I need my mother and father for everything, if I'm being honest. Even for
Because I was
appointments.
thinking, like, at one point, I was thinking, like, it would be nice to go on holiday by myself. But then I was thinking about it again recently, and I was like, I don't think I could do it.
Do it.
Like, I feel like
Yeah.
it just.
I see where you're coming
It
from.
depends where you're going.
Because for me, I feel
Because
like
if you're going somewhere quite far,
If you're going somewhere where it's completely like foreign, like if it's
yeah, if you're
really
going to
hard
another
get
country,
by, then
yeah.
you do need people around you to just help you get
for me,
through.
I don't know. I feel like it depends on the person, because sometimes, you know, like you're so dependent yourself. For example, yeah, I can say for myself, I'm quite dependent alone, but at the same time, I will still need certain people around me, like my mum and dad, like to just be there
Yeah.
and just, you know,
For sure.
because I feel like sometimes, especially when it comes to like traveling to other countries,
Yeah.
it sort of depends on the person you are as well. Because although you might be saying, yeah, I can go to another country by
Country.
myself, you know, be alone.
It's difficult, because could you imagine being in a foreign place all by yourself for, I mean, some people go for ages, but I was just thinking like
If you've
5
gone for,
days.
like, a
I think
weekend or something. I could.
I think a weekend maybe, but for 5 days, I feel like it'd be too
it'd be a
long.
bit much.
I couldn't even go a day, if I'm being honest. My big age. No, I'm being serious. I actually would need someone there, just in case, because sometimes you want a little bit of security. That
I think
sense
the
of
security aspect is a big thing, because you're in a foreign
Yeah,
country.
because you're alone and everything, but at the same time, are you sure you want to be like? Are you
Alone.
100% sure that you could do it alone? You have to think about everything. What if something goes wrong? What if you've left something somewhere? You need
Yeah.
someone. Like, there are just life and death situations as well. You have to think about every
No, that's
single
like the whole
thing.
trip. But I was thinking like from an aspect of what we were talking about, like
Yeah.
loneliness and things like that. I think like for a whole trip, it's more fun. Those experiences are more fun when you have people around you to experience it with.
100%.
And things like going out on a trip, let's say on a drive, you could do that by yourself
Yeah.
because that's clearing your mind, or on a walk and things like
course.
that. Or you could take a whole day to yourself just where you
But there are
But going
so many things you can do alone.
to another place
Yeah.
and staying there for a good few days. Like, maybe some people need it, but I feel like at this moment in time, I really couldn't.
I feel like it depends on the person as well. Remember that when you are alone, I feel like sometimes, you know, when you have that preference of wanting to be alone, that if you take that preference and you kind of extend it to the point where you're always wanting to be alone, that's kind of unhealthy for you.
Very much so.
So being alone constantly is
it's not
unhealthy.
a good thing. Yeah.
Any comments?
I think as people, as humans, we do need company. Like I feel like sometimes we're told that, you know, you're born alone, you die alone. But I don't think that's true. Like,
We
you're
create
very
you
born,
in
social,
pairs.
social
you're born
beings.
into like a family, and if not, you're still surrounded by people.
all the time.
And although like some of us may need to wind down alone, after that we do need to be around people. Like, we are social beings.
Yeah.
But then it's like, why is punishment punishment usually is like solitary confinement, no? Like in prisons and things like that, even if you're bad, you're put on your own. You're taken away from human contact. So why do we use it as a form of punishment? Obviously, because we are not used to that and we don't like that.
Yeah,
as
too
human
much
beings.
loneliness. It's actually it's unhealthy because you're literally you're confined, and sometimes it's like the battle of the thoughts as well. What's going on in your
what
mind?
do you do?
What are you thinking about? And you also have that, like, I don't know, this sounds really odd right now, but the for and against in your head.
I'm tripping.
Like,
You need to talk
Inception.
things out with people.
literally.
Yeah,
like,
so you
it's
end up
very-
talking to yourself, I
Yeah.
imagine.
But I feel like everyone talks to themselves.
Everyone talks to themselves,
Yeah.
but not to that extent where you're talking to yourself like you're two different people.
When we come back from the break, I think we'll discuss that a little bit more. Inception. I'm joking.
Stop.
It's something on the sort.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about, what does it mean to feel lonely, and also the social aspect of it, squads, cliques,
Yeah.
social groups.
Do
So
we
please
need
do
to
join
have
us.
squads?
Yes, please do join us in the next few minutes after the break. Assalamu alaikum.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and you're listening to Sisters Speak on Inspire 105.1 FM. And if you joined us just before the break, you're right there,
I'm sorry, it's
If you joined us just before the break, we were speaking about loneliness and friendship, and we will now be continuing our discussion. So anyone who is listening, how can they get involved, Amina?
They can text or WhatsApp us on 07779 481822. You can also call on 01582 481822. And we are on Facebook Live, so you can watch our Facebook live stream, comment underneath. We want to hear from you guys, join the conversation.
Yeah, guys, come on, please do.
Text us,
please.
Get involved, guys. It's really important.
Also, we vote for us. Vote for
Votes.
Sisters Speak. How can they vote again?
Go to the Facebook Inspire FM page, and I think it's like the first thing there.
Click on the link and
Click on the
vote.
link,
And
scroll
go.
down a bit,
Scroll all the names, scroll past all of
Sister
them,
Speak.
all the way
is
to
the
Sister
one.
Speak. It's in alphabetical order, so you know where S is in the alphabet. Come on, guys. Sister Speak, you can't miss it, because we know we're your favourite show.
We know you love us, so show us that you love us with your vote.
Yes, please.
It's
We
highly appreciated.
Greatly appreciate it. And also send that vote to all your neighbours, your family friends, your second cousins, your third cousins.
That's to win the Community Choice Award, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So please help us win it, please.
Thank you for that. So moving on, is there a pressure to make friends?
Yes.
Well, do you think it's a pressure, or do you think it's more of a we
But
want
it's
to make
pressure
friends?
that's been put on
I
us
feel like
by
it's
society.
Kind of a pressure.
It's
I
not
think
like
so.
someone said. It's not like some people have actually said, like, "Oh my gosh,
Well,
you
you
need
have
to make
to
friends."
make
We have to
friends.
make
No,
friends.
but, like-
it's just a societal pressure.
but, like,
that we have.
because if you
guys
don't
were
have any
saying,
friends,
though-
you're viewed as
Yeah, but like you guys were saying, if you're alone,
Yeah.
it kind of has negative connotations.
connotations. For sure.
So I guess making friends would only be a positive
That's
thing.
if you care
it's
about
like-
your image, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. But in this day and age,
But to be fair, no, for sure. I know in high school, like if you're the person who has no friends, then you're seen. Even no one will call you like weird or things like that out loud.
just seem a bit
Obviously
abnormal,
not.
don't you?
But yeah, like everyone thinks it. That's what everyone thinks. Or when people talk about, like, I've heard the conversations where people are like, oh, that person's like, they're always alone, they have no
Yeah.
friends. Da, 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 da. It goes along that sort of line in that sense, which I don't think is a good thing. Because
I don't
a
think-
person doesn't necessarily need to always have people around them.
Yeah, and I don't think we should
true
make
that.
friends just for the sake of having them, because
Yes.
that's what leads to having
arguments and
bad friendships.
toxics.
And just-
But not only that, like,
it,
it affects your mental health too, right? People
Yeah.
who
'Cause it's like
have so many
putting up
friends.
an image as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause
but they feel fake inside because they feel like they can't really go to those people.
And maintaining certain images just because of a social group as well. It's
trying
it's kind
to
of
fit
ridiculous.
in with like the
Yeah.
norm, trying to be like whoever's
Exactly.
popular at school.
And it goes to the extent where you kind of become someone you're not because of that.
And that really affects people because I feel like everyone knows when they're pretending to be someone they're not.
Definitely.
And that really affects
You
your
don't- you don't
mental
feel
health.
good.
No.
Okay, but in this day and age, this lovely, beautiful day and age, we have, social media. Social media portrays certain things. For example, squad goals, or the squad
Hashtag
culture.
squad.
That kind of image. And is there such a thing, generally speaking?
I think when you do have
cringy as it sounds.
that friendship group, especially if you're young as well, it is like, it seems fun to show it off. Not exactly show it off, like you don't think you're doing it, but it's like, when you have
But
something
it's
good,
fun
you
to
want
post it online,
you want
right?
to have fun with it, and that's why people have like squad goals, blah blah blah. And do you remember in high school when you'd go out with your friends and like do that shoe picture? Sorry, I just went off on a tangent, but
Okay.
I've never done that before, but I know what you're talking about.
shoes.
I know what you're talking about.
I did it like once, okay?
Squad goals.
Anyway, that's kind of beside the point.
Yeah.
But like, I think when people do that, when you do that with your friends, I think it puts pressure on people who. It may not
Don't
even be
have
people
many
who don't
friends.
even have friends. It's people who have like
Many
one or two friends.
Yeah.
And
Or even one friend.
Do you think that's do you think that's the fault of the person who's posting it online, or do you think that's the fault of the person who's feeling that
person's
well?
mentality.
Do you think there's a issue with the actual way we perceive things? Like, why should I feel
It's
like
the
my
mentality,
friendships
though.
are
And the
in any
pressures
way
of
like?
society, though, if you
Do you
generally
think?
think about it, whenever we go into schools, even without noticing, we do it
We do it.
unintentionally. Like, as in, it's just because
It's true.
maybe you mesh well with others than other people. Like, you mesh well with certain people than with other people who maybe don't share the same interests or don't do certain things that you do, or personality-wise as well. However, there's also the factor of sometimes the parents can influence the child or kids or whoever
True.
into going into certain friendship groups as well.
Yeah,
even
very true.
siblings, like if
Yeah.
if you have older siblings or like people who are older than you, might see them
Hang out with a
in
certain
like
type of.
certain friendship groups, like you might think that's what I need to do, like they have
For
so many
sure.
friends.
And parents definitely do. They that person's good, that person's not good. Da, 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 da. As much as we hate to say it,
Yeah.
like they do, because they only ever want the best for their
Of
child,
course.
right? So,
yeah.
but I think it comes down to mentality from both parts.
But do you think a child is at fault for feeling
No.
left out? Like if they
don't
see
know,
if they
it
see a
depends.
big group, like I don't think it's
I think
their
it's
fault for feeling
Natural
upset.
to want to be a part of it, no?
Yeah,
but
because
then
we-
it's just like it's natural to want to be alone sometimes.
I think it is to do with mentality. Like if you're a teenager and you feel like alone after looking at someone, or you feel the pressure to have to go out and make friends after seeing people's posts, I think that's an issue also with the way you value your own self and your life and what's going on. But I
Yeah.
also think it's an issue on the part of like we shouldn't have to put that pressure.
Yeah.
Do you get what I
think it's
mean?
being taught.
It's from
But
both
hang on.
ends.
Is it really important to have friends in your life? But yes or no first?
No.
I think it depends how you define friends. Like, what are friends?
Yeah.
I think it's all about people who support
Okay, is
you.
it really
That's what
important
friends
to
are.
have people who support you
I
in
think
your
that
life?
is very important.
Yeah, I think
to have people who
the
support
issue
you.
is
But they are friends though, right?
Yeah.
But then, like, I feel like your parents and your family are a form of friends that you have in your life. You don't necessarily
so
like.
too.
And then you've also got that kind of ideology where it's like, my friends are my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people have that, or the best friends thing as well.
Because I think friends are just a term we've given to people who we can
Rely on,
and
we
they
can
support
speak
us,
to, open
even if
up
they're
to.
not related to us through blood.
Yeah.
And I think that's what friends are. They're people who support you.
Is there a thing as soulmates
Yeah.
within friends?
Yeah, I don't. Do you know what I find weird is that
Why soulmates is always related to
are
marriage? because
romanticized.
yeah. Why is that?
Why do you only have one soulmate?
I
you can
feel
have
like I have a
loads.
billion.
A billion.
Not just but like your
I don't, by
soulmates
the
are
way,
like
just so you know.
your family and your best friends. Like it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Everything is just so romanticized. It doesn't need to be that
And
way.
there's always so much pressure added to the smallest things, like the bare minimum. The squad goals picture, like if you don't have that, then
And I think
you don't
it's-
have real friends, or if you don't go here with your friends, or if you don't do
It's an
this.
issue with society that we
Like-
put those types of
Yeah. Exactly.
labels and pressures on on people. I think it's more of a systematic thing that
Definitely.
we're brought
Yeah.
up to feel that way, even from
it's
like
not just
small
social
school
media.
areas. Like I
It's
remember
like-
from like foundation year 1, like trying to be in
It's
those groups,
like
and you're like
movies,
really
TV.
small
yeah,
at that
true
point.
that. But have you guys now first say yes or no, and then we'll go to the answers. But how do you know if someone's feeling lonely?
I don't think you can.
It depends on the
Do you
person.
not
Unless
get
it's
a vibe?
Overly obvious.
Because some people don't want, like, some people don't want to show it.
And,
They don't
we
reach
also
out.
talked about you don't have to not have company to feel lonely, right? You can have loads of people around you and still feel lonely. So I think that's the thing, when people are feeling lonely, you can't necessarily tell. And it's down to the person to maybe communicate.
But maybe if you're close to this person,
You could
may
ask, for
see
sure.
like a change in their personality or the way that they talk to you, or like if they're
True.
just not as enthusiastic as they
About anything.
usually are, that like say that
Or if they're
you're
not their
talking
real
about a
self.
certain thing that would usually excite them and they're like not bothered. Sometimes
For
it's
sure.
hard because you might think, oh, maybe they're just tired and they don't want to talk. But if it's like
But if it's an ongoing
if
thing,
it's,
maybe.
yeah, if it's an ongoing abnormal thing, then maybe just talk to that person about
Something
it.
a little bit off topic, just a little bit, but it's not that much. But it's kind of related to this. It's a story of a boy, and he basically invited all of his friends and whatnot to a party. Little did they know that was the party he was throwing for himself to say goodbye to them, if that makes sense. The next day he killed himself. So, and that was because he felt lonely. Because even though he had so many friends, he still felt that loneliness.
And that's the thing, like,
So could you ever tell if someone's feeling lonely?
that's why I'm saying, like, you know, when people say they have friends, I think we talked about it in last week's show, the fact that
But then what
they
is it?
may, the people who you call a friend
He may
Yeah.
not have
may
had
not necessarily be a
yeah.
friend on that emotional level to
yeah.
what we're talking
so
about by
to
definition.
be a friend, you have to reach someone on an emotional
level for sure, I think.
As in,
Definitely.
you literally, you're telling them everything from start to finish.
Because yeah,
kind
that's
of
why I
thing.
think, and we talked about best friends as well, but I think you just have the real friends that you do have, and they're the ones who will help you out in everything.
Yeah.
And you know, we call anyone that we meet a friend,
True.
but they're not someone you'd go up and open your heart to in that sense. So that's why I'm saying, like, a person could have so many friends, and you know, they talk about like
This friend and
online
this friend,
friends,
yeah.
people that they've met, and you could always like, it's everyone can make small talk with each other and, you know, laugh and make jokes, etc. But I think it's more on that deep emotional level, and that's when people start to feel lonely, when they don't have that connection.
What if it's hard for some people to open up though? Because that is sometimes a problem, you know? People have been hurt before by previous friendships maybe, and yeah, of course,
I
you're trying to help
understand
them.
it's not easy to open up. Like,
Yeah.
even I find it
At
difficult
the
to
same time,
open
you
up
don't
to
have
people.
to like open up to everyone, you know. I
Yeah.
think at the
Even letting them in a little bit.
but for young
letting your guard
people,
down.
I think the reason why you might get into like friendships that are not like good ones is because they feel pressure to, like, they think that, oh, to be close to someone means I need to tell them everything, but you need to figure out if you're actually like close to this person,
And if it's
for
worth
them,
telling
for
them
them to have
everything.
that information about
Yeah,
you.
of course.
I think at the same time, like, we need to know who we can speak to. But yeah, that's, I don't know where I was going with that point.
I think, like, you know, you don't need to tell everyone everything.
Yeah.
But then again, it can be really hard to open up to even the people who won't use that information, I guess, necessarily against you.
Even
But
if
then
it's-
that's the
yeah.
thing. Like, I think it's sad that we are more and more making a society where people find it harder to
Make friends.
make friends and share themselves when things
But
are going wrong.
You know what is kind of crazy as well is this whole, like, I've heard this quite a few times as well. It's the whole, as you're growing up, the more friends you lose, and that's when you realise the only true friends are your family, kind of. But I don't believe that, personally. I don't know about you lot, but I don't know.
I don't know.
Do you think as you've grown up, you've lost more friends?
It's not like I've lost friends. I've just like not. I've just nothing has been like, oh my gosh, I've
Where
had
are
a
you
falling
going
out.
with this?
I've had a
No, as
falling
in,
out.
it doesn't mean as in losing friends, as in not as in falling out, as in just
not
drifting
there.
apart as well.
Yeah.
But that
I think you
happens
drift
as you
apart
grow.
with anyone.
Yeah.
Because you move on to different stages of life. You
Definitely.
can't just hold on to everyone. Like,
And if you think about it,
my friends forever.
yeah,
like you can't.
we are still quite young, and the friends that we had in high school or college or even at uni, we're still growing, we're still mentally developing. We're not
For
going to
sure.
have the exact same friends.
Mm.
Like, we're going to grow apart, and it's fine because you're going to develop and you'll have a different mindset to them. Doesn't mean you have to be best friends forever.
True.
And not only that, you both are going to meet new people
I
and
don't
spend
think it's
time with
that
so many
sad.
different people. I don't think it's
I know,
that
it's
deep
not sad.
either, because you still, like, if you bump into them on the
It's
street or something,
growing,
you'll
though.
reminisce about the times that you
Yeah.
spent together. I think that's part
Like,
of
you're
life.
just growing apart, that's
isn't
all
it?
it is.
But then, like, you get new family as well, do you not? As you grow older,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
you have kids or you get married and you meet new
And
people.
you're like, kind of
Everything
into a new
changes as you
family.
grow. That's what life is it
Yeah.
not?
That's why I think it's important for young people to know that they don't have, if they haven't made friends yet, it's, don't put pressure on yourself. Don't feel upset that you don't have a lot of friends at school, because
As you grow
You're not-
older, you're going to
you
be
don't
meeting new
need
people
them.
every day, though. Anyway.
yeah, like if you only have one friend, then that's perfectly fine, because you don't need more than one. If you do have more than one, that's fine.
Yeah.
And also, you have your family, you may have siblings or cousins, don't feel upset because it's normal to have, like, it seems normal to have friends. Because I know it's like, we talked about social media, but it's also like in movies and TV.
Yeah, very much
It's
so.
such
it
a
plays
big
such
thing.
a big influence into friendships.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys think that movies and TV shows can play into the whole, the pressure of making friends?
But we've all seen so many programs and things like that we almost sort of grow up
That
with
they
the
have, like,
mentality that
cliques
there's
and
always
And it's
social
this
groups.
popular
It's
group.
always the same kind
It's
of
like
group.
labelled groups,
Yeah,
kind of
and I feel
thing.
like we have this image of American schools that they have it's a certain way,
Yeah.
I don't even think it's real in America.
no,
I think it's
so-
just like
But that's
fiction.
how much,
It's
that's
pure
how
fiction.
much they can control the way that we think about a certain thing. No,
like
That's the
that's the
power
extent
of, yeah.
of
TV.
And TV programs, films, this
because
literally
they just,
the power of
even
it.
though it may not be the case, I still feel like if I walked into an American school, like I'd see the bunch of like pretty girls on one side and then the jocks on another.
the geeks, so called. But I think, don't you think in reality that's not like friendship groups are very much mixed?
They're very
They're not-
much mixed,
there's
but I
no
do think
such-
they exist. There's no point
yeah.
in saying they don't exist.
Yeah.
Because I think, especially like in our schools, I feel like you definitely have groups. But that's only because I feel people in general tend to come and stick together as groups. Do you not feel like you always have groups wherever you go, like and depending on what, it's
Yeah.
usually on a common thing. Like sometimes it's just because we're all
Yeah.
brown, so we'll just stick together.
That's true,
I'm
though.
saying it on a
That is
very
true.
like
I feel like
blunt
but it's down to
perspective.
you though. Like it's because of who you feel more comfortable with. That's who you're
or it could
drawn
be because
to.
you have the same sense of humour.
Yeah.
That's why you're friends, and
Exactly.
therefore you guys are all in a
It's
group.
who you vibe with, who you mesh
For
well
sure.
with. Like that's who draws like them to you, kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
how it starts.
And
so
that's
I think at
why-
the end of the day, it all depends on you as the person
for sure.
choosing whether you want to be alone, choosing who you want to be friends with,
Mm.
choosing whether or not to wanting to be alone is for a long period of time is good enough. Because at the end of the day, there's no reason for you to be alone, because you can make that choice to speak to people, to make friends.
Yeah.
Do you not think you're friends with someone by choice, not by force?
Yeah. But then
Mhm.
some people find it very difficult to go and mix with a crowd or to
But then
open
again, it's
themselves
also
up in that
building
sense.
that confidence. Maybe you don't have to tell
I
them
think
everything.
If people see others, especially in a school setting, because I know it can be extremely upsetting when you see everyone else having fun and laughing, etc., but you're by yourself.
Yeah.
But I think it's up to people who are in those groups as well. If you see someone
Yeah, true that.
who doesn't have as many friends, or perhaps they're one of those ones in the class where they don't mix as well. I think it should be up to us to sort of go in and help that person and make them feel like they're
Yeah,
part of
definitely.
the group and make them feel welcome, because no one likes being treated like an outsider, I guess. And that's the whole thing.
That's true.
It's such a big, I didn't realise, but it's such a big concept. Like, we're talking about it in terms of loneliness, but that's where everything stems from, the fear of being on the outside
exactly.
and not on the inside. And that stems to so many different
things as well,
aspects of our life.
Because it's so badly, like, you know, you want to be so successful and you don't want to be part of the...
But let's just think about it on a national scale as well.
Like,
and the
there
fear
are
of, like, xenophobia
yeah.
stems from that fear of the outside, you know? And a lot of us may feel, because we're not of a certain British ethnicity, that when we go into a certain crowd, we feel like we can't mix as well because
or
of
sometimes
that.
it's just that uncomfortability as well that you get, because it's just
a
like a bit
very
of like,
big,
like what's going to happen, you know?
It's a huge principle that underpins pretty much
Yeah.
a lot of, like, our social life as humans.
Do you think being alone is a huge fear?
Well, for some people
it depends
might
if you
be.
see it as a fear. Yeah.
Depends how you perceive
Like you're going to be
loneliness.
alone forever. You know that whole... I think... I don't know which one of you said
Being
it. The
alone
whole, you know,
forever.
you're going to live alone, you're going to die alone.
Oh yeah,
Is that true?
I don't think that's true. I think people.
But you
I
do
think that's
die
something
alone,
that. Yeah, you do die like you
Unless
go.
like Romeo and Juliet, but...
But
you know.
like when you do die, you are, well, not necessarily everyone, but you have people around you. You have people that will grieve when you're gone. At the same time, when you're born, you have people who celebrate. Like
Of course you
are
die
born,
alone, but
like you.
But
you
you're
have,
never always alone.
I don't think I think that's different. Just because you die alone and you're born alone doesn't mean
It
during the
doesn't
period
mean
of your
life
lifetime
that you're going to be alone.
be secluded from everyone
I can
else.
understand where it's
'Cause-
coming from in terms of the independent side of it, because...
Oh yeah, for sure. Because you
we were
shouldn't
talking
be
about
dependent upon
yeah.
everyone.
Exactly, but
But I
then there's a
think-
difference between the being, you know,
Because
you're
we
going to
all
live alone,
have
die alone.
this span of time where we're sharing the time and the space with so many other people. And in that sense, you're gonna be interacting with others. Yes,
Yeah.
you're born alone and you die alone, but in that
Yeah.
span of time from like birth to death, you're sharing that with others.
Exactly, and it doesn't mean that, you know, when you're not sharing with others or being with others, it doesn't mean that, you know, being alone is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to be alone to see sense
It's quite
yourself.
enjoyable sometimes
You
to
know,
just...
because sometimes you're around people constantly that sometimes you just need to gather your own thoughts.
Yeah.
And fair enough, it's fine to take time off and be alone for a while.
You
Too
need to
much
have a
loneliness, it
balance.
depends, yeah.
You definitely need to have a balance. Like whether that means.
Is it possible to get a balance in
But
this
is
day and age?
loneliness a
Well, if
negative
you-
Do you
thing?
think?
I think we need to remind ourselves, like, if we're not conscious of it, then you can't get a balance. If you're not conscious of anything, then you will always be overwhelmed. You actually need to tell yourself, remind yourself that I need to take care of myself,
And
only
I need
then
a break.
you'll do it.
Like, yeah.
But you just.
Is it a negative thing though, loneliness?
I think inherently it's quite negative because it implies you want other people, but you're not having other people. If that makes sense.
It is a negative thing if you're not getting that emotional connection that you need,
or
because
if you
we
feel
need
deprived in that sense.
that. Yeah, like if it affects
I think then
your,
that's a negative thing.
if it really affects your everyday life, as in like it affects you emotionally and you don't feel like you're connected to anyone, then it is definitely a negative thing,
I
because
feel the act of being
we
alone
thrive
isn't.
on connections.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, true.
But just the act of being alone is not a negative thing. And actually, I'd argue that everyone needs that time to themselves.
Yeah, I agree. I think again, it depends on the person that you are, but those people that do struggle, how can they
Struggle
deal
with-
with it then?
Struggle with loneliness.
Like as in, maybe they're so comfortable in being alone that, you know, it's such
struggle
an odd thought
to be with people,
to
not
be with
necessarily
people.
loneliness.
Yeah.
They're
Well, they
fine.
don't necessarily have to be
Are they?
social.
Oh
as
no,
in-
I'm saying
Oh.
they feel fine being
Oh, I
alone.
thought you said they're fine.
No,
I was
no,
like,
no.
if they feel,
if they feel fine, then what is the problem?
But what is? Yeah, but a lot of people say they're fine, but are they?
Oh, I
I've
think
heard
well,
that
that's a conversation
so many times.
people
That's
need to
another
have with
conversation,
themselves.
though.
I
Like
think
if you're genuinely
if
fine,
it makes
then
you sad,
what's the problem? But
then you need to talk
if
about
you're,
it.
like that example you gave before of that boy, that's like an issue. Like he's obviously like dealing with depression.
Yeah.
That's something that people, I think it's not anyone's fault, but it's nobody's. I can't explain what I mean, but I mean, like, everyone has a responsibility there. Like, maybe his friends weren't close to him, and it's not exactly their fault, but someone you know, maybe his parents, somebody. I'm not putting blame on anyone, by the way.
Course.
There's no blame on anyone for this. But I think, as people as a whole, I think we need to look out for each other. Like you said before, if there's someone who seems a bit outside of the crowd, as an outgoing person, I think it's important for you to take it upon yourself to take that person in.
And it's about building a society where people shouldn't feel alone. And also building in a society where, you know, we talked about the pressures of social media and the way, you know, someone may feel like they don't have enough friends based on standards they've seen elsewhere. It's about making a society where we can feel confident within ourselves. And that doesn't just span out to building friendships. People get influenced by the lifestyle people have on social media, or, you know, beauty standards is another thing. We should be able to feel confident in our own body and in the way our life is.
But
I
not
think.
also that stay off. So it's not every day go on social media.
But this is to the people who do feel like they should hold themselves to those standards. You know, I don't think that should be a.
Generally speaking, every day, every hour, every minute you spend on social media, what are you gaining from it?
Definitely.
Go revise.
Like, go outside for a walk, or go
for sure.
get a job or something.
With social media, like, you know, the people that you follow that make you feel a certain way, that I need to be like that. Like, going back to my thought of the week, you literally do have the freedom to unfollow. Like, it's not that hard. That doesn't mean you're not supporting them.
And don't believe everything you read on social media either, that things have to be a certain way. Because at the end of the day, you make your own choices in this
But have
world.
a look at your own profile as well. Like, you're not showing all the other stuff that's going on in your life. So they're obviously not showing all the other stuff that's going on in
even
theirs.
then, this person may not be doing anything bad, but if they make you feel bad, then unfollow them. They're not going to harm.
100%.
Like, we need to be happy.
At the end of the
Also,
day,
like, you shouldn't feel bad looking at their post, I don't think.
And at the end of the day,
You
the
should be
power
happy.
all comes down to you as well. Your choice being the key word there. You can choose to be alone. You can choose to make friends.
I think we forget how grateful or like how amazing our life actually is, though.
But
as well.
unfortunately, we come to the end of the show. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We got a little bit passionate there at the end. Please do join us next week, inshallah, 6 to 7, Inspire FM. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.